Page 1.
Chan Sam Pema Gesa Da Bala Yatse Chugging Janye Pema Jane Shesa Ra Good Kandra Ma Bako KJ Studio Shugela Chisha Sa Good Pema Sid O ma hum benza good pema sidi ho ma hum benza good pema sidi hung o ma hum benza good pema sidi ho ma hum benza good pema sidi ho Oh, ma hum benza good pema sidi ho. Oh, ma hum benza good. Oh, ma hum benza good pema sidi. Oh, ma hum benza good pema sidi. Oh ma hung, oh ma hung, oh ma hung benza good pema sidi hung. Oh ma hung benza good pema sidi hung. Oh ma hung, oh ma hung benza good pema sidi hung. Oh ma hung benza good pema sidi hung. Ima ho. Ma hum benza good pema sidi ho. Hum benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma 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 benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ho. Ma benza good pema sidi ho. Ima ho. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma benza good pema sidi swaha. Oh ma benza good pema sidi Eureka. Oh ma benza good pema sidi wowie zowie. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma benza good pema sidi mahalo. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ha ha he he. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ho. Benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma pema sidi ho. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma benza good pema sidi ho. Oh ma pema sidi ho. Oh ma benza good 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 pema sidi ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi 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 Ho. Om Aham Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi. No Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi. Om Aham Benza Guru. Just chanting, letting everything else go. Om one syllable at a time. Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om chanting Dzogchen Pema. Just this. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza. Om Aham Benza. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi. Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi. Pema Siddhi. Om Aham Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Om Aham Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho. Releasing totally, a big sky breath, out breath on your own pace. Lean back a little, raise the gaze, open the sphere of 360-degree luminous, sensitive, receptive, present awareness, sky, mind, cosmic awareness, totality, sky gazing, space mingling, dissolving in the infinite, decontracting, relaxing. Drop the tension in the face and the cheeks and the jaw. Open your mouth. Go gaga a little. Let go of your habitual reference points and conceptual framework. Not looking outside for anything, not looking within, and nor getting stuck anywhere in between. Cultivate the awareness which fixates, lands nowhere. And Buddha says in the Diamond Sutra, eyes cast into the sky, the outer space, the outer infinite. Mind cast or released into the infinite space of awareness, the inner infinite. Meditation, selfhood, everything cast off or released into the secret, subtlest infinite, just being, groundless, boundless beingness. Rigpa, innate wakefulness, just being. Mingling outer and inner, self and other, seeing through everything, just being through everything, through and through. Rest in luminous, senseless openness. Clear, lucid, transparent, translucent, transreal essence. Awareness, transparent to itself. Seeing through oneself, seeing Buddha being Buddha. Imaho, how sweet it is. Let go and let Buddha do it through you. Eyes open, ears open, nose open, mouth open, throat open, mouth open, posture open, Heart, diaphragm open, anus open, heart and mind totally open, natural, at ease, decontracted. Gazing gently in space, not looking up at the ceiling or your crown chakra, just gazing gently in space, like gazing out over the horizon from a hilltop, or looking over the ocean, not looking at particular things, just gazing, mingling with the view. Externally, the view, landscape. Internally, the view, the mindscape. Secretly, ultimately, the view by which we are seen and see. Non-dual awareness, the ultimate view, the beingness itself through which we see and are seen. Mingling outer and inner, self and other, meditation and non-meditation, just being in the natural great perfection of things left just as they are. Seeing through our momentary dreamlike appearances, outer and inner phenomena and mind stuff. And enjoying the entire Easter parade, all the floats, positive and negative. The more outrageous, the better. Imaho. If you need to, take a breath and start again, fresh, vividly alert, wakeful. Breathe out and let go, a little letting go, a little death with each out-breath, a little relinquishing with each out-breath. And follow the out-breath, concentrate lightly on the exhalation while sky gazing. With the principle of releasing, of spacious clarity, eroding the self-centered ego clinging. Resting in luminous, scentless openness, great equanimity and acceptance. One taste, recognizing the equality of everything that momentarily appears, coming and going. Simply observing and enjoying the entire spectacle, all the flotsam and jetsam of experience flowing by on a stream of awareness. Awareness, aware of awareness, naked awareness, awareness alone, an incandescent, ownerless presence, empty awareness, the Buddha mind.
Page 16, mantra 4.
Turiye Sam Tare Tu Tare Turiye Sam Tare Tu Tare Turiye Om 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 Tare Tu Tare Turiye Tu Tare Turiye Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye Om Tare Tu Tare Turiye Soha Tare Tu Homage to Tara, the female Buddha. Tare Turiye, personifying the sacred feminine energy within us all. Tare Turiye. Tara, the liberator. Drolma, the liberatress. Tare Turiye. Tare Turiye. Tara, whose name means star. Tare tu tare turie. Oh, tare tu tare turie. So. Oh, tare tu tare turie. So home tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. Tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. Oh, tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. Yeah. So ha tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare. So tare tu tare turie. So ha tare tu tare turie. Tare tu tare turie. So ha tu tare turie. So ha tu tare turie. So tare 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 tu tare turie. Homage to Tara, the female Buddha. So, personifying the sacred feminine energy. Emerald green like Mother Nature, like spiritual growth hormone, chlorophyll, spiritual chlorophyll. Mother Earth, Mother Nature, our mother, the bosom of being, the womb of emptiness, sacred feminine wisdom. Tara, womb of enlightenment, mother of all the Buddhas. The Yidam goddess of America. Tara, the guardian of Tibet, guardian protectress of Tibet, guardian of the high ground within. Oh Tara, help us, heal us, hold us, holify us. Be our 4-H mother. Help us, heal us, hold us, holify us. So hear our cry like your only child. Purify and transform us, liberating us, liberating the whole world. Pour into us and through us, pour down into us as if from above. Awaken, emerge from us as if from within. so we may become just like you, a light in this benighted world. An awakener, an edifier, a great bodhisattva, spiritual leader, enlightened elder, sage, benefactor and friend, spiritual activist, bodhisattva, a wish-fulfilling jewel to the world. Not my life, but thine, O Tara. May I be a vessel of your liberating Buddha activity in this world, of infinite benefit to one and all. Joyous, loving, altruistic, compassionate, helpful, humble, tender, embracing, a refuge, a sanctuary and solace to all those who are lost or suffering, a light in the darkness, a bodhisattva, a Buddha to be. Om Tare, to homage to Tara, the female Buddha, Toha, guardian goddess of Tibet, guardian of the high ground within us all. Om Tare, to Ta, to the air. Om Tare, to Tare, to the air. Om Tare, to Tare, to the air. So Om Tare, to the air. Om Tare, to Tare, to the air. Om Tare, to Tare, to the air. So to Tare, to the air. Om Tare, to Tare, to the air. Om Tare, to Tare, to the air. Om Tare, to so Tare, to Tare, to the air. Om 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 Tare, to Tare, to the air. So Om Tare, Tu Tare Turi Soha. Tara, Mother Tara, heal us, hear our cry, heal us, help us, holdify us. Purifying and awakening, transforming, liberating us, liberating all. Homage to the Buddha within, don't overlook her. What page is that on?
Page 16, mantra 4.
On page 16, we have Tara's mantra. Tara, the female personification of Buddhahood, embodying all the enlightened qualities, the feminine embodiment, female energy with feminine energy within us all, regardless of gender. There's no gender in the Buddha nature, in the absolute. Tara, the liberator, liberatress, Drolma in Tibetan. Arya Tara, the womb of enlightenment, mother of all the Buddhas. The archetype personifying enlightenment. Not a historical figure, but an archetype, principle personifying these ideal qualities. On this page we have a few mantras that we chant and use as supportive practice for our Dzogchen practice. At the top, we've studied that. Om Ahung, we've studied that. Om Mani Padme Hung, the mantra of love and compassion, technically known as Chenrezi mantra, the mantra of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, Kuan Yin, known as Kuan Yin in China. Om Mani Padme Hung means the jewel in the lotus. In mantraology, there are many different kinds of mantras. This number 4, this Tara mantra is called the name mantra, calling the name of the archetype, of the deity, of the enlightened one, of the Buddha, of the goddess, to invoke her presence and qualities. Name mantra. There are many kinds of mantras, short mantras and long mantras, healing mantras, wisdom mantras, purification mantras, devotional Guru Yoga mantras. This is a name mantra. Using her name, Tara, in its various forms, calling her, evoking her, exhorting and invoking her to come down as if from above, if that's the way you look at it, to awaken as if from within, if that's the way you look at it. Those two are really not contradictory directions. The name Tara, Om, Tara, Tare, it's this mantra, Tare, Tu Tare, like some translators say, verily Tara, it's like 1800s translate, verily Tara. My translation is more like, it's like, Tara, Tare, hey, yo, Tara, you know, it's like, Robert, Bobby, Bob, Bo, yo, Bo, dinner, come and get it. Soha. Hear us, heed us, help us, holify us, and whatever prayers you want to put into it, prayers, aspirations, affirmations, resolves. Tara, one of her many epithets, is swift answer of prayers. Because she sits with one leg down. I have a small statue here. Is there a tanka there? Green Tara, perhaps? Instead of sitting there cross-legged and meditating like the Buddha, stone Buddha in the garden, she has her right leg down and her right hand down, reaching down into this world in the blessing and giving mudra, and her right leg down in the Buddha activity mudra gesture. While her right active side, masculine active side, is reaching down, is in the world. Her left feminine wisdom side is still in meditation, the left foot up and the right hand up, or holding the lotus or whatever it's doing. I don't know, she has a lot of dance movements. So Tara is a very beloved, in fact, the beloved archetype in the Far East. 5th mantra is the Vajraguru mantra that we've been chanting with the Guru Yoga prayers at the beginning. Om Ahung Benzo Guru Pema Siddhi Hung, the Lotus Guru's mantra. And then there are others. Mantra chanting. Chanting is a great practice. Sacred music, shabda in Sanskrit, sacred music, divine sound, shabda. Shabda yoga, it's called in Hinduism. Sacred music. We find this so common in all the world religions, Gregorian chanting and all kinds of choir and choral music and sacred music from Hildegard von Bingen, and Jewish davening and chanting and so forth. Because it moves our soul, it gets us out of our head into our body, the breath, the energy, feel it vibrating, the drumbeat pulsing in our solar plexus, and so forth. Gets us moving out of our head. God prays by dancing, Buddha prays by singing, and so on, as 'tis said. Mantra chanting, mantra, japa yoga in Sanskrit is a very important part of the 8-limb yoga, Ashtanga yoga of the codifier of yoga, Patanjali, 2,000 more years ago. Mantra yoga, japa yoga, repeating the names of God, what is sacred. Like Hare Krishna, japa yoga, singing bhajans, devotional hymns and kirtans, singing and call and response and so on. Mantra yoga. So chanting, I find, it's a healthy, healing, harmonizing body and soul, heart, mind, spirit, and energy practice. If you like it, please take it home with you and use it. If not, try something else. Maybe the self-inquiry who's experiencing is a good tuner-upper for your naked awareness Dzogchen practice. In Tibetan Buddhism, of course, we do a lot of chanting, hundreds of thousands of mantras and more, and so on. It's a big and important part, delightful. If you like these chants, I have a chant CD you can learn them from, Chants to Awaken the Buddhist Heart. Dzogchen practice has a few basic principles. We've talked about the session with the beginning, the middle, and the end. I mentioned, I think it was this morning, every meditation and prayer of any kind has 3 parts really. First, arriving and settling, centering, settling. You can read about this in Awakening the Buddha Within, the meditation section. Second, intensifying through whatever technique you use, breathing, mantra chanting, visualizing, concentrating. And third, releasing, which is in a way the point. Which is not that different than arriving and settling, is it? But you have to get there to realize that. And also you can start again anytime. Or you can back up from releasing into intensifying if you're getting distracted. So it's not just linear, it's circular, as our wizard has shown us. But why is it only going one way? Duh. We'll discuss that later. The Dzogchen practice, the view, meditation, and action, which is the ground, the path, and the result or fruit of the great perfection. These are technical terms you'll see in Dzogchen and Mahamudra books, so just skimming over them for theoretical background. The view, the glimpse, the recognition that things are just as they are and we can leave them as they are. The meditation of non-meditation, getting used to leaving them as they are, not falling into our habitual knee-jerk reaction patterns, stimulus and response, reaction patterns, blind knee-jerk reaction patterns, based on like and dislike, illusions of separateness, ego clinging, attachment and aversion. I like, give me more. I don't like, get away. Resting in the great one taste or equanimity, objective detachment, seeing the equality of things in meditation. Whatever arises, it will pass, something else will arise. Whatever arises, it will pass, something else will arise. And cultivating that in meditation, we get used to that, then it can carry over into life. Of course, in life, we should be more reactive and discriminating, as mentioned yesterday, and know the difference between red lights, green lights, and yellow lights, or right and left, and which exit to get off, and so on. In post-meditation, in life. But in meditation, seeing through, seeing the emptiness aspect of things, seeing through the floats in the Easter parade going by. Not getting all elated because the Hawaiian floats come by with all the dolphins and hula skirts and nice rainbows, and not getting depressed because the scary horror house goes by or the Battle of Stalingrad float goes by. You know, that might be the coolest float in the whole parade, just when you realize it's just a float. It's not cool when you're caught under the wheels. But when you have the bigger picture, it's just a float. It might even be the award-winning float, the most scary, weird float or costume. And that is what our false self or our self-image is, like a costume, like a mask that we've donned, we've assumed, and then we forgot we put it on. Like the little girl once who I was carrying around in Thanksgiving, and we came to her grandmother was dressed up as a witch, and her grandmother started to come towards her with like loving claws, and the little girl freaked out and started crying because she thought it was a wicked witch of the north or something. She didn't recognize grandma under the costume. We all thought, wow, cool costume, grandma. She thought the wicked witch was coming with her claws for the little girl. Survival mechanism. Being deceived by the appearance. That's what seeing through means. You see it, but you also see through. It doesn't mean things are invisible. You see it and at the same time see through. It's a kind of double vision. That's not the best translation, but it's double vision. Seeing with your 2 eyes, like seeing the costume, the forms, the appearances, but with your unitary vision, your third eye, seeing the other aspect. Oh, it's just one of the many floats in the Rose Bowl parade. The wanted and the unwanted parts of life just coming by. That's why the great teaching of Buddha about all things shall pass, this too shall pass. It's a good mantra to remember. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Oh, it's cold today. This too shall pass. So, principles of Dzogchen. The view, meditation, and action, the ground, path, and fruit of the great perfection. Based on the glimpse and getting used to it, the maturation, and then stabilization. Can we have those in 3 rows, Christopher, or something? Just a little bit of theoretical background. We're not just sitting here trying to do nothing, which is just one more karmic activity. Like trying to stay in bed all day is not necessarily the most relaxing way to spend your vacation. The view is a glimpse, if you read books, the Introduction to the Nature of Mind or Our True Nature or Breakthrough to Reality. The meditation of non-meditation, getting used to it, maturing that glimpse, that view. That leads to the action, Buddha activity, stabilizing, so it comes out naturally in life for the benefit of one and all. That's the ground, the view, the bigger picture, reality as it is, not needing our manipulation and interference. And if we have a pure intention to do something, we don't need to suppress that either. That's part of it. We don't need to interfere in suppressing it. Suppressing it is just another idea. Like quietism or nihilism. That's not nothing. It's one-sided. Great peace is beyond the duality, the dichotomy of noise and quiet. Quietism is too much quiet. Being a pacifist, nonviolent, is not the same as being passive. Great peace is beyond the dichotomy of noise and quiet. It's beyond the dichotomies of stillness and movement. So in this practice, we try to come home to the present moment in this sky gazing, openness and awareness practice, to keep it simple. Practicing a few basic principles. Can we have the principles, Christopher? This will be on the board. Principles like, need I say, awareness. Spontaneous flow. Naturalness. Openness, not narrowing it down like concentrating only on the breath and forgetting everything else. Or a candle flame, not narrowing it down. Openness and awareness, panoramic awareness. Openness. Nowness or presence. Nowness awareness, presence, presencing. The clarity, lucid clarity, luminous openness, not just empty-minded. A luminous clarity, like Tukor Rinpoche used to say, it's not just like emptiness, shunyata is not just like an empty room, it's a sunlit room. It's a beautiful, warm, spacious, sunlit room. That's the awareness side, the emptiness coupled with the awareness, the lucidity. Luminosity, that's why we have images of it like the crystal or the diamond, not just a piece of glass. So these are some of the basic principles of Dzogchen. Of course, you could add in there any number, but these are common to other meditations like equanimity or non-attachment. We don't need to go into all that here. Befriending yourself, letting go, we've talked about all those. They're all here, in essence. Non-attachment, equanimity, and so on. Non-reactivity. One of the great teachings of Dzogchen is the realization that things arise by themselves and release themselves if we let them. Like the snow globe settles and it becomes clear when you stop shaking it. When we stop manipulating and fabricating and conceptualizing and rationalizing, the innate clarity of awareness emerges as if from within. Like when we stop stirring the water, the mud settles to the bottom and the clarity of water emerges as if from within. So by itself arising, by itself liberating, things by itself appearing and disappearing, like ripples on a stream. like clouds going through the sky, many images of this that we can apply to our meditation. Like dream, like fantasy, like illusion, like lightning flash, like rainbow in the sky, as it says in the Diamond Sutra. Very interesting analysis of 8 or 12 similes of illusion. It's vivid, like a rainbow, but insubstantial, you can't catch it. It's temporary. Whatever we experience, temporary, like dewdrops on blades of grass in the morning, evaporating at dawn, temporary. It's beautiful, like a rainbow, but we can't catch it, can never reach it, always beyond. Vivid yet empty, insubstantial. Like a mirage that we never quite reach, isn't there when we get there. It's a manifestation of our desires and projections and so on. Hallucinations, like a dream, like echoes, and so on. So it's good to try to remember some of these. When things come up in your mind, you say, this too shall pass. Or another good American mantra, like a dream, like a fantasy, like a sitcom. I recommend these to you. I like these, think of these American mantras. You can call them up any time, or you can have a Live Strong band where you write on it with your magic marker. One of these, your favorite one, whatever works for you, like what things bother you too much, like a dream, like a fantasy, like a sitcom, and help you let it go and see what's next. Rather than fixating on it and fighting with it and reifying it even further. That's the problem with thought swatting, trying to stop thinking. The mind is supposed to think. Thoughts are a good servant, but a poor master. That's the problem, with too much under their power. The purpose of deep meditation and Mahamudra, Dzogchen, Zen is not to stop thinking. That's just cosmetics. It's to be aware of thoughts, to see through thoughts. Awareness of thoughts is meditation, not thought swatting. Oh, swat those pesky thoughts. They'll go away like mosquitoes. No. Befriending them, allowing them, like an empty house, not unafraid of the thief-like thoughts. Nothing to steal. Here. There's a Dzogchen image. The open, ownerless, naked awareness, nothing to steal. The thoughts can come and go through, no problem. They're there if we need to use it. If we need to think about which exit to get off to drive home, no problem. No obstacle to the bigger picture. This brings us to the principle I've been trying to get to, of by itself arising and liberating, Jatrel in Tibetan. Rangsha Rangdrol, self-arising, self-liberating. If we don't reify things, they come and go, and they're not binding on us. That things arise and pass away, it's a karmic arising. There are causes, cause and effect. You're not doing it, you're not the creator exactly. There's myriad causes. And you're not the owner exactly, even of your own body, not to mention of things external that are going on. Are you the owner of your body and mind? Did you produce it? Do you know when it's going to expire? Are you in charge? Do you produce the thoughts and feelings that come up? If you're a nice new ager, you might say, yes, I create my experience. Well, leave the room that way now. Show me. See what I'm saying? That only goes so far. Being responsible for your experience, yes, is important. That's good. That's the right direction, but it's not far enough. We have to go further. No one can do it all, and no one is exempt from participating. We're all part of it. We're not God the creator, per se. Yes, karma creates our experience, and we create our karma. But what is the we? We're so conditioned. Our program is running. Did we really program this program? Oh, yes, in the last life. That sounds good, but come on, give me a break. And we have so many unconscious and subconscious drives. You know, karma includes that. It's not just whatever I intend will happen. Affirmations. I am rich. I am about to win the lottery. They've called me and left a message on my answering machine to the ticket that I bought. Oh, shit, I forgot to buy it. Well, maybe they called me anyway. I did buy it. I was going to buy it. I bought it. I won. Has anybody won the lottery yet that way? I'm exaggerating, but not much. There's a little more than the affirmation. You have to make the steps. Maybe you have to buy the ticket. Maybe you have to buy more than one ticket regularly in order to have a chance. Even if you win the lottery, does that guarantee happiness and contentment? We all have heard stories about what happens to many people who win such lotteries. All kinds of shit happens. So things arise by themselves and can release themselves if we let it, if we can let go and let be. Natural freedom is called in Dzogchen, the inherent freedom of being. We don't have to go back and work out every detail of our past karmas. We can cut the string now that holds it all together by being so present that we're not tied to past or future. There is no karma in the nano moment of just being. Karma is about past, present, and future, interlocking and conditioning. Because in that moment there's no self. Self is a story, a history, a pattern. It's the self that has karma, that suffers. It's rowboats and canoes and Titanics that sink and drown, and passengers that drown. The waves don't drown. The bubbles and froth and mist icebergs don't drown. It's our separate, congealed, out of it all self that is in danger of not surviving, that is the fear-based entity, that is the contraction and constriction. So when we practice this, allowing this by itself arising, by itself releasing, Rangsha Rangdrol in Dzogchen, we start to notice that things loosen up, get freer, everything becomes more possible. We can get anywhere from here, not just in the rutted same direction, the deep rut that we're conditioned to keep following. It's a very profound principle, this naked awareness. It's very sharp, yet it's very broad. It's very intangible even. It cuts through, it sees through, it's like a laser beam, not a sword. And it can be used for any number of purposes. Laser beams can be used to cut steel, I've heard, but also telecommunications. Doesn't that seem like a whole different kind of activity? The awareness is like that and so much richer too. The naked awareness, not just one's own thinking, which is a small reflection of that. So as we practice this Rangsha Rangdrol, this automatic liberation, recognizing things will arise and pass if we let them, instead of glomming onto them with attachment, identification, my thought, my feeling, me and mine, and what's wrong with me, and I got to change this. And our whole story, self-story, selfing constantly, the iterative self, again and again reinforcing itself, the iterative false self, the protein changeable self, not our Buddha nature, Buddha self. As we rest more and more in the moment, the naked awareness just proceeds unhindered, without subject watching it or object or anything. Everything changes for us. There is the inherent freedom of being. Jotrel, carefree. Free from action and inaction too. That's why Patrul Rinpoche, the great Dzogchen master, said this great koan-like statement that we all think about. Beyond action and inaction, the sublime Dharma is accomplished. Beyond action and also beyond inaction, the sublime Dharma is accomplished. That's the principle of Dzogchen meditation. Not doing and not trying to do nothing. Just being undoes the tangled habit of karma, the tangled skein of overdoing. The practice of freedom, intervening with awareness between stimulus and response so we don't just have a blind knee-jerk response. Liking, disliking, I want, I don't want. Oh, why doesn't that sound stop? Oh, I like that sound, let's hear more. Constantly caught between the horns of Scylla and Charybdis of liking and not liking, good and bad, so subjective, when in fact, everything is subjective. That's one of the sides of meanings of shunyata, emptiness, not a thing, not what we think it is. It's not what happens to us, but what we make of it that makes all the difference. You can't control the winds of karma, not just individual karma, group karma, collective karma, species karma, local, global karma, and so on. But you can learn how to sail and navigate better. That's the secret. Be a master, not victim of circumstances and conditions, by resting in awareness itself. By coming to rest at the origin or center of all things. And then flowing like the Tao. It's not static, it's ecstatic. It's pure, total energy. Inexhaustible, never tired because not pushing, not relying on action, and not holding back and trying to save up either, inaction. So these are some of the principles of Dzogchen meditation and practice. Again, this is not about your daily life. This is in Dzogchen non-meditation, not judging and not interfering and not efforting and so on. In Dzogchen meditation, have I said that yet? Not in life where you might have to distinguish or strive or hurry or even compete. You know, on the basketball court, I compete. It's the game you're supposed to play, not let the other person win. I mean, unless it's a kid, then you compete a little and you also try to help them have, get better. But in meditation, none of that going on. There's no bumper cars. It's just flow. It's like the ocean that never leaves its bed. But it doesn't stay still, does it, the ocean? Yet it never leaves its bed. That's the image of Dzogchen meditation. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. View like the sky, meditation like a mountain, activity like the ocean's waves, inexhaustible without leaving its bed. The three kaya teaching of the Chok Shakshi, the three great flops. Or is it four? Who's counting? Questions? Anybody we haven't heard from? Yes, Joelle.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
My question for now has to do with the lotus. Let me see my notes.
The Lotus Guru's
the Lotus
mustache.
Guru mantra.
Yeah.
If you could tell us more about this mantra, and then I have a related question about it. I was asked twice about the Lotus Sutra mantra, but I know nothing about the Lotus Sutra mantra, and so I'm wondering, is it the same thing as the Lotus Guru mantra?
No.
It's not?
No.
Okay. So anyway, can you tell us more about maybe both, or like...
No, this is a secret teaching. No, just joking. Do you want to write on the board? So on that page we were just looking at, the mantra, that's the Lotus Guru's mantra. In Tibetan, Padmasambhava's mantra. The guy that's sitting over there, the founder of Tibetan Buddhism. He is called the Lotus Guru, Padmasambhava. Padma means lotus. So Padmasambhava was a person, an Indian master, tantric master, who was invited by the king to bring Buddhism to his savage land in the 8th century, around the year 700 AD. And he walked for 2 years, and he stayed in a cave in Nepal for a while meditating. We can still go there, visit that cave. We manifested Vajrakalaya, and he kept going, and he got to Tibet, and he taught Dzogchen, and he founded Tibetan Buddhism. So he's a historical person. Tibetans call him the second Buddha. And so that's his mantra. So people practice that mantra and invoke his presence and blessings and qualities and try to emulate him and become like him, let's say. So that's the Lotus Guru mantra in Tibetan Buddhism. Now in Mahayana Buddhism, there is the Lotus Sutra. Lotus is a very common image, as you know. There's the lotus posture in yoga and everywhere of sitting. So lotus is a big image in Eastern thought. So you find this everywhere. It's like the Lotus computer or Lotus spreadsheet was named after this. And Lotus car, maybe, I don't know, that founder. So, it's a very common image. So there's also something else called the Lotus Sutra spoken by Buddha that's very, very popular in China and Japan. And from that sutra comes the mantra, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo.
That's in Japanese.
That's called Japanese, yeah. So that's the Lotus Sutra is a Mahayana Buddhist scripture, and Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, if you translate what the mantra means, it means hail to the Lotus Sutra. So that's the mantra of the Lotus Sutra in Japanese.
And all these are in Pali, or
No, they're not in Pali.
what language are they?
These which? Some of them are in Sanskrit or Tibetan Sanskrit, some are in Pali, which it probably says on the page. Isn't the refuge in Pali and in English?
Page 7, refuge is Pali.
Yeah, pay 7. Does it say Pali? Pali's the ancient language of Buddha. We don't need to get hung up on this, but there's different languages going on here. Don't worry. Don't worry. Joelle's a scholarly, I think she's aren't you in the interfaith ministry training? So she's studying these things.
I graduated already, but it's okay. I'm still learning.
Yeah. You're like the graduate wondering if you should go into plastics or what you should do now. I know. Questions, please. Yes, the mantra yana is a whole vehicle or path of Buddhism. Like I said, japa yoga, mantra yoga is a path of yoga in Hinduism. Mantra yana is the name for a path in Buddhism, where people do a lot of mantra and chanting. Externally, you chant the mantra, but internally, you visualize the mantra or mantras and the syllables in your different chakras and channels, and they move around and they radiate light and energy and bliss, and it's a whole thing. Yes, it's a whole tradition, a way of practicing. Yes, sir.
When I sit down to meditate, I'm still blinded by conditioning that began early in my life. And I hear you suggesting that if I'm able to get to my naked truth, that will leave me?
That's what I'm suggesting.
So when I walk out of meditation into the rest of my life, I should be clearer.
Were you to be in the naked truth deeply enough? I don't want to say long enough, because there's no time in the timeless. Deeply enough, that would be true. That doesn't mean when you leave here, you'll be totally free of all your conditioning. That could happen, but you could be clearer. That is what I'm suggesting.
Okay. And could you comment on?
But let me also say, since I'm the devil's advocate, I do have an analyst friend who says that there might be some psychological complexes that might need to be unraveled with other means. A psychoanalyst said that.
You made it.
But you have to find out for yourself. I mean, it's your business, not ours.
Well,
like what works. Do you still have any problems or not?
Well, I've been using another way of getting what I think is to the same place.
Mm-hmm. Good.
But in my mind, it's sort of maybe what I call the Western way. I don't know. I have found that I've needed to explore all the energy around some of these experiences to free myself, to get the perspective that I'm not that.
How's it going?
It's going well.
Great.
And
you're also here, so you're obviously a real seeker of truth. Yes. And truth is seeking you too, so don't rush too fast because you might be outrunning it.
I'm in for the race.
You know what I'm saying? So good. I could never sit here and say with a straight face that this is the only way or even the best way. I mean, it is for me, but I can't say it for everybody. That's not my style. There are other teachers who can give you that kind of confidence, false confidence. You know what I'm saying? Because it would be your false confidence. It might be their true conviction, but nobody can really give you that conviction. They can overawe you so that you believe what they believe, but you still have to reach conviction or realization yourself, like confirmation. Confirm it for yourself. Just because I'm saying it is meaningless. Even Buddha said, don't believe, in one of his spoken words, collection, sutras. Which one? I forgot. Lama Surya. He says, don't believe it just because I say it. Don't believe it just because the elders say it. Don't believe it just because the ancient scriptures say it. Don't believe it just because everyone, the tribe says it. Check it out and find out for yourself. See if it's conducive to the good, the true, the holy, the wholesome liberation. If it is, take it up. If not, let it go. That's kind of the ethic or the principle of Buddhism since the beginning. So questioning and healthy skepticism is a very important part, and seeking and shake the tree of truth. If it's the real truth, it doesn't fall apart. If it does splinter and fall apart, it needs more shaking. It's not the immutable adamantine truth or reality. Thank you. Last question, anything? Yes. Hi.
Hi. The term "the view" has just been poking at me ever since it first came up this time. And I think because it's not perceptual. Why do we call it the view?
Because we don't have better words yet. We could say the outlook, the bigger picture. As I explained, in Sanskrit, it's darshan, which means divine audience. In Tibetan, it's tawa, which means like total vision. It's the bigger picture. But again, picture, not just visual. The bigger picture, the overview. There must be some word in German with 100 syllables and hyphens. Weltanschauung, Zeitgeisten, Zeit.
Would probably describe it better,
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
But is it, when you talk about epiphanies, or when you say the glimpse that lets you know that there is there,
Yeah, that's also not perceptual.
it's not perceptual. And the view is the view just having more
It's intuitive.
of a glimpse, having a big glimpse,
Yeah,
getting
it's
to
not,
hold
it's
on
not,
to the
it's not a
glimpse.
visual. It's, it's like seeing God is not visual particularly. I mean, it could be take that form, but it means experiencing oneness or returning home to the, Alpha and Omega. I don't know, right? Seeing God doesn't mean you see finally whether he has a beard or not, or he's a man or a woman. That's a little childish. So it's intuitive, or even beyond that, it's transconceptual. It's spiritual. What can you say? It's beyond our concepts, but it's possible. It's sort of quote verifiable. It's been experienced. It's experienceable. It's not really describable, but it is. All the mystics and poets and sages describe it in different ways. Lao Tzu describes it as the Tao, and Meister Eckhart describes it as the via negativa, the way of nothingness, the everything that's nothing. The eye through which I see God is the eye through which he sees me, Meister Eckhart. That's the view from a Christian mystic. That's the view. That's the oneness. So it's not just an opinion like views. If you get back in the original languages, you can see the difference. It's not opinions, it's a clear vision. The first noble truth is called Samasamditi, the clear vision, or right view. They translate it, but it doesn't mean, as opposed to wrong view, it means the real picture. And Buddhism isn't that much about what's real and reality. It's not the false, not the illusion. Seeing through the illusion is the real picture, not seeing some better picture. So I hope that's helpful. Anyway, don't worry about it.
I just wanted to hear you talk about it.
We just do the meditation and, enjoy it and shut up and leave me alone and, flow with it, and good things seem to happen. I don't know, you keep coming back. Something must be happening. I don't know, I love it, and I'm not that easily satisfied. I mean, that's all I have to say personally. That doesn't necessarily do it for you, but that's my feeling. It's the best thing in the world, that's my opinion, feeling. Makes me happy. Makes Dory happy. Peter happy.